Mock Draft Friday. We finally reached it for the first time this year. I'm going to be breaking down the 2026 mock draft, the different players that may be picked. And the big question going into this week, this first mock draft that I'm doing, is a quarterback really worthy of the number one pick? I feel like you went into this year and there was a lot of hype in the quarterback class, and now all of a sudden it just looks like there's a lot of wannabe guys. You have a ton of teams at the top that actually need quarterbacks, so kind of a rough situation that you could be dealing with here. So without further ado, we're going to get into this. I also want to point, so let me know what you prefer. If you prefer it to be just kind of faceless, or if you wanted to actually have me reacting to it on the bottom, just let me know. I'll make that adjustment if need be. But without further ado, let's get into this. And right now, it's looking like the Saints at the first pick, if they were to pick first today, Mendoza would be the first off the board. He has looked really good now, albeit hasn't played the greatest of competition. They have a win against Oregon right now, which is pretty impressive. But we'll see if he is going to be the guy moving forward. I just know that they need a quarterback at this point, so they're going to take somebody that's available in one of those positions. So Fernando Mendoza right now is the clear number one. If we're looking at this, the Titans are a team that don't need a quarterback. They need somebody with a defensive presence. I think Caleb Downs is perhaps the best secondary player that I've just about ever seen within my life of watching football. The biggest problem that Ohio State had for the longest time before he was there was they gave up big, explosive plays. Since he's been there, that hasn't even been a question for him. He doesn't miss on tackles. He's always where he needs to be. One of the best defensive prospects I think I've ever seen, certainly the best secondary one. There's other guys in the conversation, but I really have liked what I've seen from Caleb Downs. Move on to the Jets. You got to think the Jets are going to go quarterback, and the next person is Dante Moore. Albeit it might be a little high to take him. Third pick is a little bit of a gamble, I feel. But at the same time, they need a quarterback. Dante Moore's there. They'll still need to see more on Dante Moore. We'll see as Oregon kind of goes down the season where he is. But at this point, Dante Moore to Oregon. Dolphins, I don't know. They're kind of a mess right now. I don't know what they'll do with Tua. I don't know what they'll do moving forward, but I would think that this is believing that Mike McDaniel stays as the head coach. They're going to need wide receiver coverage. I don't think Tyreek Hill is going to be coming back. So Jordan Tyson, he's been having a solid year so far, so we'll see. But I think there's a lot of different directions the Dolphins could go with this early pick, so we will see. And we got to get to the point of, is Jordan Tyson really worth the fourth overall pick? Moving on, you have the Giants. And if you have Reuben Bain here sitting there, you would think they would go after him. He's going to be a valuable player. If you look at it overall, you need to, if you're the Giants, really stack a lot of players. And they have a really solid defense, but if they continue to add people, then they're going to become a lot more effective. The Browns, this is kind of interesting here because if you look, they are in need of a quarterback, but I just don't think it makes sense for them to take Ty Simpson. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So as you're looking at this, I think they need a wide receiver, but I don't think there's really anybody in that conversation. This is where I gravitate towards somebody like an Arvell Reese, who has really flown up the charts. This is a player who has a lot of tenacity, somebody that certainly will go within the top 10 picks, and he's done that this year. He is a freak of nature athletically, and he also disrupts things. He's a big reason that Ohio State defense is number one, so could easily see Arvell Reese in this spot right now for Cleveland, albeit that they need a quarterback. You look at the Raiders, another team that needs a quarterback, and I don't know if they're going to gamble on it. I would say they would build the defense more. You look at Peter Woods' interior defensive presence that you have, and I feel like this would be somebody that could give them a little bit more from a defensive perspective, because they have Crosby, but other than that, they've had a lot of issues. Bengals, clear defense. They need to work on it. Another Clemson guy, TJ Parker, somebody that can put them in position to be more successful. You look at Washington here, I think there's a lot of different directions they'll go. I think if you're looking at it in terms of needs, I feel that they should go for best corner available. We'll see. Like I said, it's very early. We'll see if another corner emerges, but right now, McCoy from Tennessee looks to be the most prominent. Ravens right here. I think if you're the Ravens right here, you actually consider Jeremiah Love a replacement to Derrick Henry. They know they're going to need that at some point. I think Love has proven that he's the best running back in college football right now, and somebody that without question deserves to go in a top 10 position, given that Genty went that early. Love is an incredible talent. Next up, you have the Rams here, and I feel that the Rams will want to expand their defense. Folk could be somebody possible. Now, they do have a lot. I would say they go with the lane here. They build kind of a secondary, and they kind of build the defense a little bit further. You look at Arizona right here, given on needs, I think Malachi Lemon, he's had moments at USC. I don't know if it's been sustainable enough, but I think if you're looking at upside, he is definitely in the conversation there. Then you go to this Houston Texans team, and I actually think that this is Carnell Tate's spot right here. If you look at it overall, they need more receiver depth, I feel. I don't know if Tank Dell's going to come back. You have Nico Collins. They need a sustainable number 2. I like Carnell Tate right there. Next, you have Dallas here, and I believe that you can get a tackle with this pick. They got an interior O-lineman last year. This year, I feel a tackle is fitting for them. If you're Minnesota, they do need a running back, but I could see them just building out their O-line a little bit more. I like Proctor. I think Proctor's been really solid for Alabama. Should be higher on the mock drafts right now. Next, you have Carolina. Carolina probably going to want to give more weapons to Bryce Young. That's where you get Sadiq, the guy from Oregon, best tight end in the draft right now. I think they just need to continue to give a limited quarterback like Bryce Young more and more weapons. Overall, you go to Kansas City here. I think there's a lot of different things that you could do with Kansas City, but running back is something of note, but there's not a lot of good ones in this position. So if I'm the Chiefs right here, I would say you can't go wrong with getting a replacement someday for Caleb, for their interior, Chris Jones, their interior defensive lineman. I feel that Caleb Banks can fill that role potentially. Chicago, with Ben Johnson, you just assume they're going to do more offensive attachments overall, but I actually like him to go tackle to help that O-line even more. Here you got the Browns, and I don't know if it's that I'm low on Ty Simpson or I just haven't seen enough big plays from him. I feel like he has a limited arm. If I'm the Browns with this pick, you've already gotten previously Arvell Reese, who can really be a step-up guy for your defense. I feel that Lenore Sellers is the most talented, debatably, quarterback in this draft with what he can do and how he can extend plays. Now, he's not the most polished right now, but I think if you're the Cleveland Browns, you have time to be bad. I mean, there's no huge expectations on you. Everybody at this point has kind of given up on the Browns. So I feel that if you give Lenoris a little bit of time to develop, he could become something great. He really could. And I think this makes a lot more sense for the Browns to draft a project than a guy like Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson needs to go to a team with vertical offensive weapons. That's where he's gonna throw. He can sit in the pocket and throw, but he needs the right foundation overall. So that's why I feel that Sellers 19th will be good. Steelers will continue to get defense. So where Falk will go. I believe if you're Detroit, Terrell, the corner, makes sense here. Continue to build the defense because their offense really doesn't need a lot of additions. Going to pick 22, what will Harbaugh do in this spot? It's going to be O-line. It's going to be O-line. If you look at it, Penn State's O-line is actually pretty solid now that they have just kind of fallen apart and started to choke because of like some of the wide receivers and some of the defensive collapses or that Jim Knowles defense. But I think if you look at it for Penn State, their run game is still super solid. And the Chargers, they need to draft and acquire as many O-linemen as possible. 49ers here, I think there's a lot of different ways you could go, but I actually think they'll add a wide receiver. I like Brazel. I just feel that with the amount of injuries, now you could go defense here, but I have a feel, especially if Pearsall doesn't come back, that they're going to go for a wide receiver at this point. Next, you have the Cowboys, and they're going to get an edge rusher here. And I like Howell from Texas A&M. He's been awesome so far for the Aggies. A big reason that they are in the conversation this year in college football. Next, you have the Bills, and I would go wide receiver here too. Denzel Boston. They just need that one receiver, and that's going to separate them once they get that. If you're the Seattle Seahawks, I don't think you can go wrong with getting O-line. Dunker from an Iowa team that's actually been pretty positive this year. The Rams, this is a slam dunk. This is where you get Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson will work in the right offense, especially a Sean McVay offense. Without question, he would work for the Rams. So I think this is a seamless fit. Rams are going to get a quarterback at some point. Whether it's one of these guys is going to fall, whether it's Sellers, whether it's Ty Simpson, one of them will fall. So hopefully for them, Ty Simpson goes to 27. Then you look at the Broncos here, and I actually think that there's a lot of different directions you could go, but I could see them going with Sonny Styles. This is a player that I think certainly will go in the first round. He's been a heck of a leader for that Ohio State defense, and he has really been performing as the season's been going. Really physical athlete and blows up a lot of run plays, a lot of screen plays as well. So he's a very solid piece for a Denver team that already has a really good defense. Next, you have Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is also a team that likes to draft defense, and this is where I think there's a lot of different places that you could go if you're Tampa Bay. I would say Harris from Penn State is a guy that makes a lot of sense for them. Next, you have New England, and I feel the Patriots will most likely get a solid center, continue to build that O-line that they have. Moving on to the Eagles right now, and we don't know what the future is like for a guy like A.J. Brown. So at this time, I would assume that if they did, for whatever reason, move off him at the end of the year, they would need a wide receiver replacement. And then lastly here, the Jets. Jets, it's an interesting decision on where you could go, but I think McDonald has proven he's a first-round pick and that he's going to have the ability to be in a lot of conversations. But with that being said, that's going to do it for the first-round picks. This is kind of an overarching look at them here. But let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think. And as this goes on, Obviously, we're going to get more and more news. This list right here is going to look drastically different than the final list, but it's a good perception look moving forward.